We are finally here, the regular season finale here at Northwood Stadium in St. Paul, Minnesota. The 9-2 Minnesota Legend already clinched a playoff berth, are playing host to the Charleston Predators, who are still hoping to get a little bit of help to get themselves into the playoffs. Welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody, alongside Brett Solberg. My name is Eric Vinson, Jacob Clear, and Declan O'Rourke in the stats truck for us this afternoon. And Brett, here we are. Last game of the regular season. Charleston got some work to do. Basically, they got to win in order to keep their playoff hopes alive.
Yeah, they've done well to get back into this playoff picture after starting 0-4, winning 5 of their next 6 games to get back into this position. But a huge catastrophic loss to Atlanta has really set them drizzling down to this scenario against a Minnesota team who aren't going to let the foot off their gas pedal, because if they win, they get themselves a first-round bye, and that is all more important. So both these teams are gunning for playoff positions, even though Minnesota already has a position clinched. This is going to be a great start to our Saturday evening here, Eric.
Yep, Saturday evening block kicks off right here, and Minnesota is going to kick it away to the visiting Predators of Charleston. And we are ready to go here in St. Paul. Return from the end zone. Out across the 20 to the 25. Shimmy shake, still on his feet, bouncing it to the near sideline. 40, 45, out to the 50. 45, 40, 35, 30.
What a start.
25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown to the house. Charleston on the board, courtesy of number 14, Ian Francis.
And he hasn't had a lot of noise this season. He's kind of been held back because there's been a lot of other targets out there in the form of Benjamin Warner and Davies Reed. And this is how he gets involved, is his special teams. And sometimes when you're the shorter receiver, it's a benefit to get those returns because you can be that sneaky, sly, fast guy in the special teams unit. And that's what we see here. He sneaks around, gets to the right side, and bursts right to the end zone. What a start for Charleston.
And that is exactly the kind of spark that Charleston needed right out the gate to get themselves into this ball game right away. Looking to make it a 7-0 ball game is the kicker, number 4, Brad Brechet, and he is going to kick it up and through. 7-0, just like that, and the Predators are on top.
What a start to things go for Charleston. They know they need to win this game to have themselves a chance. They've built themselves a great strength of victory to get themselves in a position where they can make the playoffs, but they need that 6th win.
How does Minnesota answer with a touchback on that following kickoff there, and they will set things up at the 20-yard line. Johnny Reno, number 13, manning the helm, his 4th season here in Minnesota.
Yeah, and he's been quietly into the MVP discussions as of late, knowing that he has been probably one of the most composed and, more accurate quarterbacks out there. 3rd in yards, 3rd in least interceptions with 10, and has a QBR 2nd in the league at 86.8.
And one of only 4 quarterbacks with a positive touchdown to interception ratio in the league. He'll start out under center and hand it off. Right up the middle he goes. That's Colin Hart. A good gain of 8 to start things off for the Legend.
And what the Legend do really well is that they love to just get as many plays as they can in a game. And they get a lot of touches between Johnny Reno's passes and Colin Hart's runs up the middle. We see that a lot from Colin Hart, and that's resulted in him getting 10 rushing touchdowns this season.
Coming out heavy eye. Shifting France out towards the far sideline. Hand off, up the middle he goes, 1st down yardage, and that's Isaac Knox, the rookie, 14th overall pick, and he'll get the 1st down.
And as of recently, Isaac Knox is starting to get more involved in the run game as well, slowly developing into a very nice 2nd option for the Minnesota run game, and he's starting to get into his own.
Bit of a beefier 2nd option as well. 6'3", 235 is the rookie. First pass of the game, Reno completes it out near midfield, and that's another first down. Minnesota answering nicely on offense.
Yeah, and this is what could be so dangerous with Minnesota, because they can get first downs in bunches. They know how to work effectively as a unit. They just, chop the opposing defenses down until they know they can really get points. And getting a pass just like a slant route from Quag Mam like that, easy going first down.
Just shy of midfield, first down. Reno, over the middle, catch made. France, and they'll give him the first down off of forward progress out across the 40-yard line.
And we've talked about him before being, one of the tallest figures in the league offensively, 6'7", 270. It's hard for Johnny Reno not to pass to him because he's just an imposing figure down the middle, and sometimes simple routes look so easy with Jason France, so he gets those easy catches like we saw here.
Handoff once again. Hart, this time nowhere to go as he's bottled up in the backfield. Loss of 1 on the play.
Yeah, and I was talking with Eddie Gage on the Streets Are Talking earlier, and I said to him that one of the biggest things that Charleston needs to do defensively is turn Minnesota into a one-dimensional team. Charleston can force turnovers. They've got 21 takeaways this season, top 10 in the league. If they can force Reno into some hazy throws, they've got a shot.
See if they do that here. Reno, over the middle, tip, and incomplete. And that was number 42 who made that stop on the last play, Jack Brown, getting into coverage and knocking the football down.
Yeah, and that's what these linebackers need to do. They know that Johnny Reno can throw on deep down situations, even if it's like 11 yards to go, like we saw on second down. Those linebackers need to step back and be those secondary and tertiary coverage people to swat essentially passes off the air.
Brings up an obvious passing situation on 3rd and 11. Reno, clean pocket, checks it down to Hart, and Hart is tackled right away in the middle of the field by Matt Ryan, and that's going to force a 4th down.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting situation. This will be from about 52 or 53 yards out for Mickey Melillo, so they're going to opt to punt this instead of taking the risk and kicking this ball for 3, which I don't think is a bad idea. Pin Charleston deep.
Low snap, but it gets away. Good high angling punt, going to bounce right around the 9-yard line. Coverage team is back there, and it's going to be stopped. It's going to be stopped at about the 1-yard line, I believe.
Yeah, and how about going from kick return touchdown to start things off to starting on your own 1 or 2 yard line on your first real offensive drive. That's definitely a change of pace of things for Charleston, but they need to be ready, and they're starting off gunslinging on this first down. Look at the 5 receiver set.
1.5 yard line is the official spot there. Minnie Melillo with the epic punt there for the legend. Lakeman at the helm for Charleston. Gonna pipe one over the middle and a big catch. That's going to be out across the 20-yard line, and that's plenty of breathing room here for the Predators.
Yeah, talk about a quick way to get out of the shadow of your own end zone, getting it to Benjamin Warner, slinging it for 20-plus yards. Forget about the idea of, really considering taking a safety at this stage. You've got yourself one throw. John Lakeman stayed composed in his end zone and got the catch from Warner.
Offensive Rookie of the Year in Season 20 is John Lakeman, number 9, manning the helm for the Predators on this first down. He's going to check it down, and that is Hoagland with the catch as he creeps out of the backfield for a game of 7.
Yeah, not a lot of teams are really dumping off to their running backs like we did in seasons past, but Charleston does a decent job with it. They've passed to their running backs now for the 20th time this season.
Under 6 to go, delayed handoff. Goes up the middle, nowhere to go, as that was Saren Storm, the second running back in this committee here in Charleston. Brings up 3rd down.
And if there's one guy I'm going to be scared on that defensive line, it's going to be Max Knight, the tackler on the scene. He's got stats all over the place, 12 TFLs and 6 sacks this season. A very imposing figure on the line.
I formation, 3rd and 3. Lakeman to throw. He's going to fire one over the middle. Catch is made just past the midfield stripe. And that is Xavier Solomon with the catch.
Yeah, and I think the mentality for Charleston is that they have to play like it's the 4th quarter every quarter in this game. And you're seeing the more gutsy throws early on from John Lakeman. Double covered right on the scene was Xavier Solomon on the catch. But he managed to get in front of the defenders so he can stay open.
11 touchdowns, 28 interceptions for John Lakeman, which is worst in the league. Lakeman going to take off and run. He's going to lower his shoulder and get close to the line to gain there. That is a dangerous play for a franchise quarterback, but he almost gets the first down.
And we say that it's dangerous because all so often this season we've seen quarterbacks lower the shoulder. We can make the case for Johnny Pickler and Christian Brown, who have done it before and have had their ball jar loose from their hands. And John Lakeman, I would say, again, the gutsiness coming in this first quarter.
Well, 6'5", 230 for Lakeman, 6'5", 250 for the tackler there for Minnesota. So a pretty even tail of the tape as Charleston is able to get the first down on that run.
Yeah, and the struggles that Charleston has had this season has been through the run game. They're 18th in the league in total yards this season at 878. Their leader, Nick Hoagland, at 493, just creeping in the top 30. They don't run the ball that often.
Delayed handoff, Hoagland sidesteps a defender, gets a good gain of 6, and that'll bring up 2nd down as we get towards 4 minutes to go here in the opening frame.
Yeah, I like Charleston's approach into this drive. They knew that they had to start off with a bang and get those passes down the field to get into midfield territory. And now we're starting to run this ball a little bit to creep a little bit more forward, shed some clock.
Handoff again, this time to Storm. Avoids the first defender in the backfield, gets positive yardage, and they're going to give him first down yardage off of forward progress.
Yeah, very interesting call from the refs there. If I'm Axel Raven, I'm throwing that flag right away. But I think he's going to keep it in because it's still the first quarter. Things are still undecided at this point, even though Charleston hit you with a gut shot first thing of the game.
Still early on. And this Minnesota Legend team has a very good defense here. As Hoagland going to get another handoff, and he gets maybe 1.5 yards on the play as number 29, Jubilee March, comes in and makes the stop.
Yeah, and again, Charleston just running the ball down a little bit now. I believe that's the 3rd or 4th straight run we've seen from Charleston in this drive, and it's really helped things, move forward. Maybe they can surprise them with a pass here.
And they will. Lakeman into coverage, incomplete. It was a dangerous throw because Johnny on the spot was Matthew Alvarado, the former Mexico City Aztec.
Yeah, and surprised Minnesota were not on that quick hit pass. On a quick slant attempt, Alvarado was all over it. Surprisingly enough, just his 2nd pass deflection, I believe, this season out of him, as he has been a TFL machine. 1 away from 20.
3rd and 9 now. 4 wide, trips towards the top of the formation. Lakeman with time. Going to check it down over the middle. Catch is made. Davius Reed could not quite get the yardage to gain. And that's going to bring up 4th down and a field goal opportunity.
And I think Charleston's going to take this field goal opportunity because they got themselves down the field, remember, from the 1.5 yard line to get themselves all the way down to the 18. And against that Minnesota defense that has been so daunting this season, I'd call that a rousing success.
Stretch it from 35 yards to make it a 2-possession ball game. It is up and it is through. Ooh. It sneaks in inside that left upright. It was looking a little dicey there. 12 plays, 81 yards, capped off by that 35-yard field goal.
And you can see it just veer left and continue to veer left, and that was probably inches away from being missed. So Bretship, count your blessings. You got 3 more points for Charleston.
2:40 to go here in the first quarter. It's been all Charleston from the gate as they took the kickoff return, the opening kickoff return, for a touchdown and added 3 points there. Minnesota getting their 2nd crack of the football here. Past the 20, lowering his shoulder, and out to the 25-yard line. If you're new to the Simulation Football League, welcome. The SFL is football for everyone. Get off the sideline and start your player today by joining our Discord server at simulationfl.net. Click the Join the Community button and begin your career, or just to meet the stars of the SFL on and off the field. It's never too late to get involved. So from the 25-yard line, 1st and 10, 2:35 to go here for Reno and company. Offset single back. Reno going to throw over the middle. Catch is made by France for a 1st down.
And again, if your back is against the wall early on in this game, Minnesota finds ways to get themselves out of it, and sometimes it just comes in the form of one man in Jason France, where he just breezes by a defender. John Stamango was kind of creeping in a little bit out of position, but that led to an open field opportunity for Jason France to run to. Open field means open pass means open catch.
412 yards and 4 touchdowns for France coming into this week. Reno to throw again. Over the middle. This time it's tipped in incomplete. There's good coverage out there from Matt Ryan and the Charleston secondary.
Yeah, a really underrated safety core Charleston has. We talk about guys like Matt Ryan, Sam Blotner, Jacob Clear, and John Stamango. They've all been heavily involved in this Charleston defense this season. Not one of them have less than 50 tackles this season.
Reno to throw again. Finds France wide open once again, and another 1st down for Minnesota.
And an early exploit that Minnesota is starting to figure out is France is starting to get open around that 8 to 9 yard area, because Stamango is staying down where as Jacob Clear is staying deep and far. So you have about this 10-yard space between Stamango and Clear that you can throw that ball to France.
So we get a look at France's numbers. 3 catches, 47 yards early on here. Handoff this time goes absolutely nowhere. Isaac Knox was the ball carrier, and he barely got back to the line.
Yeah, early passes on this drive so far for Minnesota, which isn't a bad idea. They're down 2 scores at this rate. You got to find ways to get back in this game, and it's working. So a quick run isn't a bad idea at this point.
Reno retreats, shuffles, looking, fires finally, and incomplete. He was looking for Deezer Powell, their offseason acquisition from Queen City a couple seasons ago, and it falls incomplete.
Yeah, great coverage from Corey Menner, who was the man covering Deezer Powell on the pass attempt, and just wanted to stay right with his man. And when he was about to catch it, he just went for the hit, jarred the ball loose.
Brings up 3rd and long. Powell in motion, trips towards the top of the screen. As Reno will throw. And fires. Oh, what an impressive interception, and he's still not touched down. He's going to bounce it up to the
Oh, my God.
Charleston has a chance all the way back. He's got a couple men to beat. Finally steps out of bounds at the 35-yard line. What a play by Adam Knoll, the corner. First season coming here with Charleston.
Adam Knoll, how do you do? What? It's just, again, jumping the play, making sure that he's in front of the receiver, intended for Jay Taylor, leaps above, over his outstretched body, gets the interception, and surprisingly enough, like you said, doesn't get touched when he's down on the ground, so he has time to run forward and give Charleston fantastic position. If you've got a Rick meter here, Eric, it is fully on the side of Charleston in this quarter.
Oh, it is hammering towards Charleston's side right now as they set up shop in prime field position, Minnesota 35-yard line following the turnover. Lakeman with a delayed handoff goes to Hoagland. He's tackled right away. Short gain of about 1.
Yeah, and again, I think Charleston now wants to run this ball down, knowing that they're in a very favorable position in this game. They've really hit Minnesota tough with a couple haymakers in this first quarter, kind of rocked them silly. and now see themselves in a very advantageous situation, almost in field goal position for Brad Bretchet again to start off their drive.
2nd and 9, Minnesota sends the blitz. Hoagland avoids the initial blitzer and is going to get about 7 on the play, brings up 3rd and short.
Now it's just big, beefy running from the immortal Hulk Hoagland to get himself moving forward, just push his way through, doesn't matter what. And it looks like Charleston's trying to get one more play off before the quarter ends.
Offside eye, we'll see if they get the ball snapped, and they do. A little shovel pass goes to Saren Storm, who doesn't get there. Very, very close to the line to gain, but a good open field tackle by Meerkat stops him just short as we hit the end of 1.
Yeah, and that's what Minnesota does. They're good against the run.
End of the first quarter, score 10 for Charleston and 0 for Minnesota. You're watching the Simulation Football League presented by APM Music. We are live on YouTube. Slight brain fart there. Eric Vincent alongside Brett Solberg, Jacob Clear and Declan O'Rourke in the stats truck. And Brad Bretchet is going to come on for another field goal attempt for Charleston. This one up and right down the middle. 13-0 is the score early on here in the second quarter.
Great start for Charleston. First quarter has been amazing for them in terms of just shutting down Minnesota's offense. Minnesota, though, doing well to drive down the field at least, but they haven't gotten any results out of it so far. Charleston has out of their 2 official offensive drives, both from field goals, and this is what led to this 13-0 game.
So Minnesota with some work to do here at home to improve their playoff seeding and possibly get a first-round bye in the playoffs. Return up the middle past the 30-yard line to about the 33, as that's Quegman with the return. And the SFL alongside Jack's Data will be breaking down where the playoff race stands after Saturday's games on the Season 22 Scenario Show right here on SFL YouTube. 3 games will remain, 8 scenarios will remain. What seeds, opponents, and situations will your team find themselves in? Who should you cheer for down the stretch? Stay up late with us. The show will air at 11:45 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, 2 nights on SFL YouTube. First and 10 from the 33 for Reno and company. Reno, off his back foot, finds France once again, and he has been Johnny on the spot for the legend. Another first down.
Yeah, and Minnesota is going to need to continue to exploit that portion of the defense from Charleston, is that Jason France is getting wide open in that 7 to 12 yard area. No matter what route that he takes, he's finding open space. So if I'm Minnesota, we're going to get a healthy dose of Jason France moving forward.
Run this time. Right up the middle goes Colin Hart as he rumbles forward towards the 40-yard line for a first down.
After just 14 yards of running offense from Minnesota in the first quarter, that is definitely a breath of fresh air for Colin Hart, especially as he struggled in that first quarter. His first touch gets himself 11 yards, a nice run up the gut, great spacing from the offensive line, good blocking from the wide receivers to get that first down.
And up the middle, nothing doing there for Knox as he gets maybe a yard. And that brings up second down.
Yeah, and what Charleston sometimes does, from what I've seen at least in this game, is we're starting to see safeties in the linebacker position. John Stamango has played linebacker in a couple spots so far, and I believe we're seeing him on the right outside line at this formation.
Reno to throw over the middle. Catch is made. First down yardage at the 25-yard line. Might mark him at the 24 as that is number 18, T to Queen.
And despite Minnesota not having any points so far to start this game, they know how to move this ball forward. They're still getting those open looks that they can. And it's not just from, one person. You've seen the run game getting involved. A lot of people in the passing game are getting involved now. Tita Queen with her first reception, which is going to be a huge confidence booster moving forward for Minnesota as well.
Reno throws into tight coverage. Catch is made. 1st and goal. What a throw there to Deezer Powell.
Yeah, simply put, that should not be a catch for your normal wide receiver, but you also have to remember that Deezer Powell is no normal wide receiver. Well covered by Corey Menner. You had an engaging Jacob Clear coming from the strong side, and he still manages to grab the catch like a needle in a haystack and gets Minnesota into 1st and goal territory.
That was much needed for Minnesota to get themselves into striking range here. 1st and goal, down 13. Handoff up the middle. Hart, and he's going to walk into the end zone. Touchdown for the Legend.
Now, you weren't kidding. Just literally walking into the end zone because the offensive line and the tight ends that were in that goal line formation did great work to just open up the hole, open up a path for Colin Hart to just waltz his way to the end zone. A much, much needed touchdown for Minnesota. They're now officially in this game, and find themselves within 7 points. With an extra point will make it 6.
And we will see Mickey Belillo with the extra point here. Bit of a bad snap, but it is up and through. 13-7 now the score. 6 plays, 67 yards, capped off by that Colin Hart touchdown run, and Minnesota's right back into this one. .734 to go here in the first half. We've already seen one kickoff return for a touchdown. This time it's Davius Reed with the return, and he's going to make it out past the 30-yard line to the 32 of Charleston.
And Charleston just needs to continue what they're doing. They don't need to really veer from their path at this point. It maybe would be nice to get themselves another touchdown in this scenario, but you still have firm grasp of momentum in this game. Make sure that you hold on to it through the rest of it.
Lakeman 4 of 5, 55 yards on the day. We'll see how his offense responds. With time, he's going to throw, and a catch is made over the middle into coverage. A very tough catch by Benjamin Warner, and that's a first down.
Yeah, and Warner has been the guy to starting drives, at least for Charleston. We saw him get that catch for 20-plus yards to start off their drive on their last one that pinned them so deep. And now he started him off again with another arguably 20-plus yard catch.
Into Minnesota territory already, first down. Delayed handoff, Saren Storm goes nowhere. Big tackle made by Knight. Max Knight getting in there for a 3-yard loss.
Max Knight just coming in, even though he was covered by an offensive lineman, he still sees Saren Storm come in, and he just tells him, "I am the Knight," and pushes him down.
4 wide, empty set for Lakeman this time. Blitz coming, picked up. Lakeman throws just out of reach of Davius Reed, and that falls incomplete.
Almost in the hands of Cody Griffin, who was on coverage on Reed. I would say Lakeman kind of overthrew that ball, was really not in the vicinity of Davius Reed, and was kind of lucky not to get an interception out of that.
Third and long. Lakeman rolls out. Uncorks one. Ooh. Catch was made for a split second, but Davius Reed had the ball popped out on the hit, and that brings up 4th down.
Adrian Blaine came in like a speeding missile and just jarred the ball loose immediately. Just didn't feel like there was enough time to reel that ball in. You could see the hands were out to stretch on that catch, And when you get hit like that, it's almost a guarantee it's going to jar that ball loose.
So we'll see a punt by Eric Blueberry. Trying to pin the legend back deep, and a fair catch is going to be made at around the 20-yard line for Minnesota.
Now momentum's starting to swing a little bit more to Minnesota's side. If they can get themselves another scoring drive, it's definitely going to even out the playing field. Not only just in terms of the score line, but in terms of everything else in the game, in terms of momentum and just overall confidence.
Reno with a 5-step drop, fires quickly over the middle, incomplete. He was looking for Jason France, but Charleston made a nice play in the secondary, brings up second down.
And again, you want to try to find that pocket. It seems like a lot of their starting drives are looking for Jason France because they know they can find that exploit where it's that 9 to 12-yard range, and they tried to go his way again. Jacob Clear creeps in a little bit more to prevent that catch from happening.
On second down, the legend go 5 wide. Reno on corks one, tipped and incomplete. Charleston almost got another one, and that was Matt Ryan, who's played a great half so far. It falls incomplete.
And right now, this Charleston defensive game plan has been all right so far because it seemed like they were true to my word, at least. They're trying to force Minnesota into a one-dimensional offense, and they're forcing Johnny Reno into some very questionable throws.
Reno on third down. Plenty of time. Finally fires one, and he's complete. Near the 45-yard line of Minnesota. That's going to be a first down for the legend and much needed for them.
And if it doesn't work your first 3 times, just try again. And you can see that Jay Taylor had to kind of change his route because there was just so much time that Reno had in the pocket. He was well covered. He just needed to change his pace of direction and got himself finally open enough for Reno to throw the ball to.
Great job by Taylor playing the scramble drill and coming back to his quarterback for the football there. Charleston going to send the blitz. Reno going to throw, finds France. First down. Out near the 40-yard line of Charleston, another one.
And that's going to be Charleston's kryptonite tonight is going to be that Jason France connection because he has been just getting things wide open. It feels like the linebackers aren't getting ready enough, especially Jack Brown. He gets burned once again. Not sure if he should cover the quarterback on his throw or cover the man himself. And that's what's leading to these receptions from Jason France here tonight.
Big numbers already for France, 76 yards here in the first half and counting. Handoff up the middle. And a first down for Minnesota as Colin Hart rumbles ahead there for tough yardage.
And again, they're not really running the ball all too much in this first half. This is only the 8th time between both Isaac Knox and Colin Hart that they've ran the ball. Charleston, quite frankly, has ran the ball more often than Minnesota has in this first half, which is something I thought I wasn't going to say. But here we are in a scenario that Minnesota's kind of mixing things in their own way, and it's still working.
Handoff. This time Knox, who gets about 5 yards there. And that keeps the drive alive. 2nd and 5 coming up.
Yeah, and that's the focus of this, is that Minnesota wants to keep that drive alive, move down the field, and they've got themselves in field goal range for sure for Mickey Melillo, but they're not looking for 3. They want to get 6.
Up the middle again for Minnesota. Tough run, close to the sticks. In fact, I'll mark him 3 yards short. The fullback Justin Williams on the carry.
There's going to be an interesting scenario for Minnesota as to how they approach this 3rd and 3. They could go with a pass once again, but they're still close enough where they could run this ball to any one of their running backs.
Taylor going to shift out to the far sideline as we approach 4 minutes to go here in the opening half. Reno on 3rd down. Fires near the end zone and incomplete. He was looking Taylor's way, but there were a bunch of Charleston defenders in the area. Brings up 4th down.
Yeah, interesting that they flexed Taylor out to see if they had that one-on-one coverage. There was. I would have changed his run route to maybe something of a curl because that would have been an easy 1st down, but instead they decide to slant him right away and see if they can get to pay dirt, and it doesn't work.
So instead we've got a 39-yard field goal attempt for Melillo. High snap, gets it down, and it is bending right through the middle. 13-10 now the score as Minnesota narrows the lead to 3 for Charleston.
And again, it's not due to the offense not working for Minnesota. It's clearly been working. All their drives have been around that 40, 50, 60, 70-yard range. It's just they can't seem to really break this Charleston defense. They broke it once, and then Charleston kind of came back after Minnesota really started driving down the field on this drive.
Deep kickoff this time, and Reed is going to take a knee near the back of the end zone, bring the ball back out to the 20-yard line of the Predators.
And again, Charleston back in the same situation. They're happy that they only allowed a field goal in Minnesota's drive. Now they need to get a scoring drive of their own. If I'm the coaching staff for Charleston, I'm focusing on using all of this remaining 3 minutes and 58 seconds of the half to get some points.
Minnesota almost doubling up on total yards here in the ball game. Lakeman going to throw an incomplete. It was behind Warner, who was trying to fall back and catch the football, but it falls to the turf.
Yeah, again, trying to look for their first play guy, it feels like, in their drives. Again, another first play going right to Benjamin Warner. This time it does not fare out, so they have to reset for 2nd down.
Four wide single back for the Predators. Lakeman over the middle, picked off. Minnesota going the other way, and they're in prime position inside the 30-yard line at the 25 of Charleston.
And that's one of the big risks that you have when you have John Lakeman under center, is that he's going to have one of those errant throws go the other way. Cody Griffin has done great work staying close to Davius Reed throughout this first half, and it finally pays off for him as he gets in front of the receiver and in front of the pass and get Minnesota in a great field position, maybe with this time remaining in the second half to either tie or get this into a Minnesota lead.
Fourth interception on the season for Griffin. Reno under center. He's going to throw. Pressure coming. He's going to fire it to France, and it's complete near the 10-yard line. They're going to mark him just shy of that. It's going to be a 1st down. Into the SFL red zone we go.
Yeah, and Jason France hasn't had the best of seasons so far, and just looking at the stat sheet here, we can easily say this has been his best game since October 13th of last year, when he posted 103 yards on Las Vegas in a victory for them as well. So it's a big game for Jason France, and we're not even into the second half.
Up to 91 yards here in the first half of play. 1st down from about the 11. Reno uncorks one, incomplete. I cannot believe that Charleston didn't come up with that one. It was airmailed to Blotner, who couldn't quite reel it in.
Airmailed indeed. I have not seen Johnny Reno overthrow his man in a red zone situation this season like he did. That was like 5 or 6 yards overthrown, and that should have been in the breadbasket of Sam Blotner, like you said.
I don't know if he was expecting it, honestly.
That might be true as well.
Reno to throw again. Retreats, fires back to the end zone, incomplete. And I believe was looking for Powell. Brings up 3rd down.
Yeah, a lot of green and white shirts in the vicinity. There was a little bit of separation I don't think Reno was suspecting Jacob Clear to come in on that secondary coverage. A lot of jostling. Looked like between Powell and Jason France. So teammates getting on each other a little bit on that play, which resulted in that being an incompletion.
Definitely a bit of a messy route tree there on that second down play. Brings up 3rd and long. 3:09 to go here in the second quarter. Reno to throw again. He's hit and the ball is loose. It's picked up by one of the offensive linemen, rumbling forward, trying to get towards the line of scrimmage. It's going to be a loss of 1, but it brings up a 4th and 11, and at least Minnesota gets a field goal attempt.
Now, we also have to dial things back here, Eric, because we've seen this play happen before, where it has resulted in challenges or booth reviews being reviewed out of this, because we have not seen a lot of situations where the ball is behind the quarterback. There isn't going to be a review here, so that's a confirmed fumble made.
And Brookie Burr with the recovery. Should probably line her up at fullback the way she was rumbling with the football. The field goal is up and good for Melillo, and that evens the score up at 13.
And you have to think from Minnesota's side, you have over 200 yards of offense, and Charleston is just doing enough to keep this a tie game so far after a 10-point explosion, it feels like, from Charleston's start to the game. And you can only manage to get yourself to a tie game. It's got to be rough a little bit. You've got to think to yourself, should be a little bit of a better score for us.
Well, if you think about it, minus the kick return for the touchdown to start the football game off, it's a 13-6 game. So it's still a one-possession game, even if you take that kick return for a touchdown off the board. So great job by Charleston to keep things even, relatively speaking, so far.
Mm-hmm.
Lakeman going to come out with 5 wide, empty backfield. Lakeman hits, he's thrown, and it's incomplete. There was pressure coming right away, and John Lakeman had no time to get rid of the football.
Yeah, off the snap, Jason Clay beats the line and gives Lakeman no chance to go through his progressions. Lakeman was very lucky to get that ball out of his hands for an incompletion.
Second down now, single back. Handoff goes to Hoagland, trying to find some room and gets nowhere as he's dropped for a loss of about 1, 3rd and long coming up for Charleston.
Yeah, I think the biggest struggle this season that Charleston has had has been running specifically on second down and medium to long scenarios. It feels like they can't get any forward motion. We've seen that a lot from Hoagland. He either gets stuck on his lineman or he gets right on the line and gets tackled.
Third and 11. Lakeman. Good pocket. Tipped at the line and incomplete. I believe it was Max Knight that actually got up there and tipped the football down, jumped up and batted it away. And he was a big part of this defensive drive here for Minnesota.
Not only for this defensive drive, but he's been a big part of this defense in general in this first half. We mentioned his name multiple times so far, very much getting involved in stopping Charleston.
3 tackles, 2 for loss, and now that deflection there forces the 4th down and the punt by Blueberry. Good punt. Just in front of the 40-yard line, and helicopter down at about the 47 is Quegmam, and that is the 2-minute warning we will hit at 1:53 here in the second quarter. Tie ball game between Charleston and Minnesota, playoff seeding and playoff implications on the line overall. You're watching the Simulation Football League, presented by APM Music, live on YouTube. Eric Vincent and Brett Solberg up here in the booth for you this afternoon and evening. Jacob Clear and Declan O'Rourke in the stats truck. Final week of the regular season for the SFL. As the handoff goes to Colin Hart, who gets a few yards, and he'll probably be marked down at the midfield stripe.
Yeah, and now Minnesota has a decision to make with around $1.40 left to go in this fourth quarter. Do they use this time to just creep themselves forward, settle for a field goal, and get the lead to end the half, or do they give Charleston a gut shot of their own and get themselves a 6-pointer, get themselves in firm position in the lead heading to the locker room?
Playing patience so far, letting the clock run underneath 90 seconds. Reno going to throw. Over the middle. Catch is made by Taylor as he gets inside the 40 to the 35-yard line, and that's where Minnesota will burn their first time out.
Man, and that's a big catch for Jay Taylor as well, and a big catch for this drive, too, because if that was an incompletion, I think Minnesota would have just settled to punt this football away and give Charleston one more chance, but now they see themselves on the precipice of the field goal area for Mickey Melillo and see themselves possibly trying to get some points out of this.
Mark down at the 34. Reno throws into coverage, incomplete. It was looking for France, and that freezes the clock at 1:14.
Yeah, the first time in this game that we've seen Charleston really drapes on Jason France in terms of a route cover instead of playing in a zone area, and that's resulted in that incompletion. And I think that's what Charleston needs to do to continue to adjust and basically make Jason France a non-factor in this drive as well in the second half.
Reno. France caught this time. Near the 15-yard line, Minnesota going to burn their second timeout. They'll have one remaining.
Man, and they decide to go with a little bit of zone again, and France is right on it, wide open. Another big catch, pushing him over the century mark just in this first half, looking like a modern-day Lauren Percoco out there, and making sure that he gets his fair share of catches in this game.
Reno throws, corner of the end zone, touchdown, Jay Taylor, as Minnesota takes the lead.
For as much as Charleston has done great work covering the receivers, I have not seen a man wide open as Jay Taylor in this game. They decide to go with zone once again and trusting on one of the Charleston defenders, I think that was Sam Blotner, to go all the way from the middle to the far left side to try to cover Jay Taylor on a fade, and it just does not work.
So Minnesota able to take the lead before the half. 1:06 to go here in the opening half as they make it a 7-point game off of the extra point by Mickey Melillo. 5 plays, 52 yards, capped off by that pitch and catch from Reno to Taylor. And there's still time here for Charleston to do a little bit of damage. They did get the opening kickoff and returned it for a touchdown, so Minnesota going to get the second half kickoff. I mean, you're playing with playoff implications. You got to win in order to have some sort of shot to get into playoffs. Got to go all out.
And this is going to be a tough situation for Charleston. 1:05 left. Their last 2 drives, they've been pretty much stifled from this Minnesota defense, and they really need to turn things around, and they definitely now at this point need to get points from this remaining 1:05.
Lakeman fires, catch is made, Davius Reed, and he's ushered out of bounds after a first down with 1:01 remaining. We will quickly toss it to SFL HQ for a game break. Commissioner Cameron Irvine.
Thank you, Eric. Queen City hosting DC. Remember, the Corsairs beat the Dragons last season. James Matthew Jr. with a touchdown. Lauren Percoco has one for the Dragons. Corsairs up 10-7, trying to pull another Week 14 upset. DC likely needs a win for a bye or a Fort Worth loss. Down 3 right now. Back to you.
Thank you, Cam. So a couple of good games here in this Saturday evening block to get us going for Week 14. As Lakeman is going to fire one to Warner, and that's complete for a first down. The Predators will call a timeout.
And Warner has made some tough catches in this first half, and another example, another great coverage job from Minnesota, but Warner outstretched his one hand, gets the snag, holds onto it after the hit, and gets a first down.
Just inside the midfield stripe, Lakeman throws over the middle, catch is made, and that's going to be another timeout called for by Charleston. That'll bring up second down, and I'm not sure if that's the play call you really want to go to if you're trying to hustle down the field.
It's interesting because they wanted to see if they could go with a catch and run, but Minnesota covered it pretty well. So it only got those 4 yards, 4 to 6 yards on that play.
So 1 timeout remaining for Charleston. 2nd down in Minnesota territory. Lakeman over towards the far sideline. Catch is made. Another 1st down. Timeouts depleted now for the Predators.
Yeah, it's going to be hurry up from here on out, but the good news is that they're in field goal range, so they don't need to do anything too risky. Just make sure that they get into the hands of the receivers, make it a chance, and they're going to go empty set again. 5 receivers, so there's plenty of options. I'm looking at Davius Reed. He's going to be the slot man on the right side, on the left side, excuse me.
Lakeman gonna throw it down near sideline. Catch is made, but he's tackled inbounds inside the 20. Under 40 seconds to go.
This isn't a bad formation.
Lakeman fires. One-handed catch by Benjamin Warner. That's going to be a touchdown for Charleston, and that is going to be our Nice Hands catch of the game. Brought to you by Retroid. Put a Retroid handheld in your hands and play the only video game with your player in it, SFL 4K 23.
Well, man, let's look at that catch one more time, because in the middle of a hurry up, you've got wide open scenarios. He beats Derek Meerkat, Benjamin Warner does, and it was a little bit overthrown from Lakeman, but he manages to stretch his arms again. Talk about tough catches for Benjamin Warner in this first half. That's another tough one, and just like that, you've got 1:03 left to use. Hell, let's cut that in half. We only need 30 seconds to move down the field to get 6.
And Brechet is going to add the extra point to knot it back up, this time at 20. 6th place, 79 yards, capped off by that pitch and catch from Lakeman to Warner. So now 20 all, 33 seconds to go. Minnesota with 1 timeout. I don't know exactly how eager the Legend are going to be to march down the field, especially after getting the second half kickoff.
Well, it all depends. If they can get a deep catch and call a timeout, they've got themselves a chance to at least get a field goal.
Short kickoff will bring the return out to the 33-yard line by Quick Man. So 28 seconds. Yeah, there's a shot.
Yeah, and remember, Jason France has been open on that 9 to 12-yard range. If he can get a catch and run from that could result in some good things for Minnesota, especially with just the 1 timeout. Sometimes just 1 timeout is all you need for a 2-minute drill.
We'll see if the Legend can double dip before going into the half.
I heard it was gross to double dip.
I mean, it depends on who you ask. Reno to throw. Plenty of time, and he's going to...
Oh!
Wide open teaser Powell! Open at the middle of the field to the 35-yard line. They're going to go no huddle.
They're going to no huddle this, even though they have 1 timeout.
Reno, again, gonna fire
Oh
it.
my goodness.
Catch made inside the 15.
Timeout. Timeout.
Oh, the timeout. 6 seconds to go.
Eric, I have to say this has to be the most exciting 60 seconds that we've had this season. And it's with these 2 teams, one fighting for a playoff position, another fighting for a bye.
And just like that, 2 plays is all it takes to get into field goal range. Melillo is going to cap it off with the 3, and Minnesota is going to go up by 3 going into the half, pending the kickoff return.
You never know, especially after Ian Francis had the kickoff return for a touchdown. But Eric, we've seen 17 points in a minute of action. Explain that to me.
I don't know if I can. I mean, other than playoffs.
Yeah.
That's all you need to hear, playoffs. One kickoff return for a touchdown already for Charleston, not one here, as Reed is going to take a knee into the end zone. That'll bring the ball out to the 20. 2 seconds to go until we hit the half.
Man, if I'm an aggressive coach, I'd be saying to myself, let's go with a Hail Gary. Why not from frickin' 80 yards out? But if I'm a betting man, this might be a run down the clock and just get to the halftime locker room chat.
From the gun, 4 wide. Lakeman is going to throw. He's going to uncork one. And it falls incomplete near the midfield stripe. Clock hits triple zeros, and we've got an exciting one here. Minnesota up by 3 over Charleston, 23-20 is your halftime score. As we get a look at the first half stats and highlights, it was a very interesting one. Brett, we both came into this ball game and we were curious as to what kind of game we were going to get, and well, we talked about it. Playoffs.
Well, yeah, and then playoffs it's huge for both these teams, and we've stated this ad nauseum, it feels like, at this point, so we won't go too much into it. But man, what an offensive explosion for Minnesota. There's teams that struggle to get 300 yards of total offense in a game. How about this? 320 total yards of offense for Minnesota in the first half, and they only have a 3-point lead because of Charleston's tenacity and just ability to keep things close and just stymie things from both an offensive and defensive side. And that's what's gotten themselves into this 3-point game. Huge credit for Charleston. Their backs are against the wall. They need a win to get themselves in a favorable position. But Minnesota's not backing down either. And this has just been a fantastic first half. I can't wait for the second half.
France has had over 120 yards receiving in the first half, and Johnny Reno has had a whole game's worth of passing yards, 278 yards in that first half. Just absolutely unbelievable offensive showing. And you're absolutely right, Charleston is clawing their way to keep themselves into not only this ball game but the playoff hunt, as Minnesota will start things off at the 20-yard line.
Yeah, and right now it feels like the first team to blink is going to lose, and it's all going to be dependent on what the next drives we're going to see, especially in this third quarter.
I mean, it's very true that the final week of the regular season essentially starts the playoffs. Charleston going to send the blitz. Reno, one-handed catch by Powell, and that's going to be a first down past the 30.
Yeah, and they're just going to continue raking in those passing yards, which is going to it's just been super effective. On the precipice of 300 yards of passing is Johnny Reno, and let's talk about passing real quick. There have been quarterbacks just this week who have struggled to get to 100 yards, let alone 300. Johnny Reno is having himself a day.
Spotted just past the 30-yard line, first down. Reno throws, and it's intercepted but fumbled, I think is what the call is going to be on the field.
Interesting. I'm pretty sure that's going to be called back if I'm going to be a betting man myself, Eric, because that was clearly, his feet were clearly not down. Great snag first off, but I think that's going to be a clear-cut incomplete pass.
It was a good effort, I will say that, by Stamango to try and make that interception, but I think it's very, very clear that he did not have possession before he fumbled the football there. So with that challenge flag thrown, we will take a retroactive look at the play presented by Retroid. Get your SFL console at GoRetroid.com.
And we'll very much clearly see on the replay as Stamango gets the interception. He has maybe 1 foot down. The big key is that second foot. Did that go down as well before France hit him?
So after the review, it looks like they are going to rule it as an incomplete pass. The call is overturned. Minnesota not charged a timeout, and a good call throwing the challenge flag for the Legend.
Yeah, and it was a good call, and it was a good reason for us to look at the replay of that as well, because looking at that Stamango interception, that was closer than we initially thought. He had 1 foot down, and he was about to get that second foot as well, but it was just not enough. So now we're seeing Minnesota get another chance at things.
Reno, pressure from his backside. He's going to go down. A 4-yard sack and loss, and that's Stamango right there. A little bit angry he didn't get that interception clearly.
I think for him it's like, oh, you didn't give me an interception? Well, let me just sack the quarterback instead, which he has done pretty well with that this season. The safeties, they've been really much the identity in terms of the TFLs for Charleston. That's now Stamango's second sack and 11th TFL this season, which is second on the team.
Brings up 2nd and 14. Reno gonna throw it back towards the far sideline. Had to go back to the football. Catch is made and still rumbling forward. Very, very close to the first down. Gonna mark him out just a yard short. An impressive move there by T. DeQueen to keep the tippy toes in bounds.
Yeah, it looked initially the couple times it looked like DeQueen went out of bounds, but we can only see from our side of the booth, and we'll see it from this perspective. Got really close a couple times and manages to get 13 yards from what turned into a catch from behind the line of scrimmage. And that's a blessing for Minnesota.
Yeah, nice job by DeQueen to keep her feet in bounds there on that one. And a huge play there for Minnesota. An opportunity to make a first down. Handoff goes to Hart right up the middle. First down, yardage and more. He's still on his feet. Up the middle of the field. Stamango finally wrestles him down. But that is a huge run for Minnesota.
We saw a lot less of this season compared to last, and we kind of know the reason why. But ultimately, it's still amazing to see Colin Hart do magic tricks like this, where it looks like he's going to get stuffed at around 5 yards, but still manages to gain about 8 more out of it and pushes Minnesota past midfield and into enemy territory.
First down near the 40-yard line of Charleston. Reno over the middle. Catch made by France near the 20 now, as that sets them up with another first down.
Yeah, and it's just been open season for tight ends with the name of Jason and or France in their namesake, because he just keeps getting open on these little opportunities. Again, that 9 to 12 yard pocket between the two safeties, it looks like it's always Stamango and Clear that he's got to be in between to get those catches.
150 yards now for France through the air. Reno gonna go to the air again, and another clutch catch by T. DeQueen. This time didn't have to do any fancy footwork, just had to reel the football in, and that's a first down.
Yeah, and man, that's another tough catch for T. DeQueen. And again, it's just making sure that you actually have enough space between your man, getting yourself open for your quarterback, and she just breezes past Adam Nold to make sure that she is open enough. So great work from T. DeQueen.
First and goal from the 6 for the Legend. Handoff goes to Hart. Already got one rushing touchdown today and gets just shy of another, as they'll mark him down maybe at the 1.
Yeah, and it looked like he was just going to squeeze his way into another touchdown run for him this season. But man, Carlin Hart has looked really good through these first 3 minutes and a bit in this third quarter.
Good numbers overall here today, averaging over 7 yards a clip on the ground. And handoff goes to Knox, and the rookie gets into the end zone. Touchdown for Minnesota.
And Knox reaping the benefits with Minnesota blocking really, really well. Gets his second touchdown this season, second of his career, his young career. And it was all about the blocking, just to make sure that he had the space, he had the open gap on the right side, and he did the work. He just needed to waltz in, and now Minnesota can breathe a little bit easier. Now it's a multi-score lead.
Double dip complete, getting 3 points before the end of the first half, 7 points on the opening possession of the second, pending the extra points, and Melillo does add that. So 10 points total on the double dip, 30-20 now the score, 6:40 to go. Charleston, they're going to have to respond, but I mean, they've responded all game, so I wouldn't expect anything less.
Yeah, very much so. So the big thing for Charleston is that they need to respond in kind now.
Opening kickoff return for a touchdown. We'll see if we get one here. From the 25, still on his feet and eventually dragged down near about the 30-yard line. Michael Bennett is injured on the play, so medical staff is going to tend to him.
And you don't want to see a loss in any portion of your team, especially when it comes to special teams, because that could bite you later on, especially in the form of against Charleston, who have already gotten a kickoff return for a touchdown. So next man up for Minnesota.
And in fact, Ian Francis was the one who got that kickoff return for a touchdown. A good return here for him as well. Brings the ball out to the 37-yard line for Charleston. Handoff goes to Hoagland and gets dragged down near about the 40-yard line, short gain of 2.
And again, this run game isn't the same as Minnesota's, and they're trying, but Minnesota's kind of shored things up a little bit and, you know, really have turned things around, because the run game was starting to become a little bit effective, but we've only seen 30 total yards of rushing for Charleston through this game.
Only 12 yards on the ground for Hoagland thus far. Handoff goes back to Hoagland, and again, Minnesota's defense clamps that shut. Alvarado getting in there for the TFL, 3rd and long coming up.
And again, that second down run game has just not been working for them in this game, in this portion, because it feels like when they run, they get hit behind the line or right at the line.
4 wide trips towards the top of the formation for this 3rd down. Lakeman over the middle, into coverage, tipped in, incomplete. It looked like the linebacker Stephen Black had a couple opportunities at that football, even after it bounced off his helmet.
Yeah, and I know that Stephen Black, along with Jeff Gagne, I used to call him Stone Hands, and Stephen Black has had that name a couple times as well, but that's tough. You know you want to grab that interception, it just falls out of your hands.
So instead, we're going to see a 3 and out for Charleston. Punt returned out to the 20-yard line, where Minnesota will start things with 5:24 to go here in the 3rd. The 2024 SFL convention is headed to South Shore Harbor Resort in League City, Texas, just south of Houston, July 12th through the 14th. Featuring live games, flag football, a golf tournament, tailgate, pool party, and more. For all the convention details, visit simulationfl.net/news/convention to reserve your room, see the event schedule, and more. Reno to throw on 1st down. Finds France once again. Jason France has been open virtually the entire ball game, and Reno has seen him for about that long.
Man, I didn't know we were in Paris right now, because France is anything anyone's talking about these days. He's just getting wide open, and again, we've talked about this so often. He's finding that open pocket, and Reno is just slinging it to him because he's really the only open option.
Minnesota playing for playoff seeding, Charleston playing for their playoff lives. Reno over the middle finds Taylor on the crossing route, and he'll get 4, brings up 2nd down.
Yeah, and a big scenario for Charleston. They need to get back in scoring ways, especially in this 3rd quarter. Minnesota's starting to roast them alive defensively at this moment. They keep moving down the field, getting what they want, essentially. They're getting close to getting to 450 yards themselves, a total offense. So you got to be careful.
Hart with the carry, gets bottled up at the line, and that's going to bring up a 3rd and long. We mentioned playoff seeding for Minnesota. Their win here today will secure a wild card bye, and they can fall anywhere between the 3 and 5 seed. Already secured their playoff destiny here with a 9-2 record coming into this week. Third and 7 with about 4 to go here in the 3rd. Reno uncorks one into coverage, incomplete. It's going to bring up 4th down, and Charleston with an opportunity. And France with 149 receiving yards. That is a career high here in 4K23 for him. So very impressive showing from both quarterback Johnny Reno and the tight end Jason France, who has been their primary pass catcher here this afternoon. Punt here by Mini Malillo. Good one, just shy of the 30-yard line and nowhere to go for Ian Francis as he'll bring it out to the 29. Charleston going to take over with 3:48 to go. And down by 10, they're going to have to get some sort of offensive momentum going here, especially with a key stop there on defense. Five wide, Lakeman under center to start things off. Lakeman fires one and just overthrew him on that play. I think he was looking for Davius Reed on the pass, or excuse me, on the route tree there. Brings up second down. Lakeman 11 of 21, 162 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Delayed handoff goes to Hoagland, who's still trying to find his footing in the run game there. As we get a look at Lakeman's last 10 pass attempts, he's gone a little bit cold after completing a good 6 pass attempts there, capped off with a 25-yard touchdown. Third and 9 now. Warner goes in motion. He's had a couple impressive catches here today for the Predators. Lakeman, pressure coming. He's going to go down. Wasn't sure who exactly was going to get there, either Angela Meerkat or Max Knight. Either way, they were going to get him down, and they do. Each of them probably going to be credited with a half sack, as Meerkat was the one who got there first and Knight was the one to clean it up. Brings up a 4th and long. Charleston, unfortunately, can't take advantage of the opportunity their defense gives them, and Blueberry has to punt. Good high-hanging kick there, fielded just shy of the 35, and Mam is going to bring it out to the 37-yard line. And we talked about Minnesota starting to gain their footing a little bit offensively. We've seen it here in this third quarter as they've gained almost 100 yards. Charleston, in fact, not gaining a single yard, negative 3 yards. .240 to go here in the third. Minnesota with a 10-point lead. Reno to throw again. He's been hot today, and so has that's Taylor. Thought it was Jason. I just expect Jason France to get the pass catches on first down there. Instead, it was Jay Taylor close to a first down.
I mean, you'll see the replay, and you had Deezer Powell, or sorry, that was Tita Queen nearby as well. But Jay Taylor's had himself a game as well. We can't discredit him along with, the Jason France Super Show. He's got himself 57 yards on 4 catches up to this point.
So after forward progress, it is going to be a first down. Handoff goes to Hart. Avoids the first defender, still churning his feet. Gets past the midfield stripe for a short gain of 4.
Yeah, and Minnesota just needs to continue to do what they're doing, especially in the second half, because it's been working for them, both on the offensive and defensive side. The offense is still carrying. The passing game is still working. Now they're starting to get this run game going with Colin Hart at 78 yards. It's really working out now.
33 yards after the hit for Colin Hart as well. That's an impressive stat. As Knox is going to get the carry. He's had a touchdown as well. This time it's going to be a TFL behind the line, as that's Matt Ryan coming in and making the stop.
Yeah, and I think Isaac Knox, get him a couple carries. He can, kind of change the pace of the Minnesota offense as well. And there you see it resulting in a touchdown with him as well. 6 carries for 16 yards. He's been effective as well.
3rd and 8 for Reno. Fires, catch is made. First down yardage again, and it seems like Charleston just cannot get their defense off the field for these third down situations. T. DeQueen with the catch.
Yeah, perfect arcing throw from Johnny Reno to get it to the receiver. Great work just to find it. And again, tight coverage. Charleston's, I feel, is doing everything right, but are just like half a step or a full step behind in this third quarter.
Under a minute to go. Fresh set of downs. Reno hands it off to Hart. Fresh head of steam there for him, and he gets 5 yards on the play, brings up second down.
And again, trying to balance that run and pass now that they have a little bit more of a firm position in this game, and it's really working out. Colin Hart's reaping the benefits of getting extra yards. They're moving down the field. They're dictating the pace. It's really working out for Minnesota in this third quarter.
Handoff this time goes to the fullback, Williams, and he tries to get as much as he can. Bottled up right near the line of scrimmage. Going to be third down. We might see one more play before the end of the third.
Yeah, if I'm betting man, though, this might be it. I would just rest on what you've done in this third quarter and really, get yourself a little bit separation, and that's what we're going to see here. End of the third quarter, Minnesota up 10.
Everyone get your fours up in the chat. We got one more quarter to go. Minnesota up by 10 going into the fourth. You're watching the Simulation Football League presented by APM Music live on YouTube. Read them the rights.
The Simulation Football League is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or account of the game without the express written consent of the league office is prohibited.
Thank you, Chris Curtis. 10-point advantage here for the legend. Eric Vincent alongside Brett Solberg here in the broadcast booth. Jacob Clear and Declan O'Rourke have been feeding us those saucy statistics all game long. Charleston fighting for their playoff lives. They need a win in order to stay in the playoff conversation. Reno fires end zone, incomplete, but there is a penalty marker on the play. I think Charleston got there early. Oh, man.
I don't know if that's the right call.
Watching it in real time, I don't know if I would have called it in that situation.
Because that's going to be very bang. No, I wouldn't have called it. I wouldn't have called it.
I don't know. That's a tough pill to swallow, especially this type of ball game here.
Yeah, because now that means Minnesota's going to get first and goal at the 1.
Yeah, got to keep that flag in your pocket there, ref.
And if Minnesota gets this touchdown, it's almost an insurmountable lead with how Charleston's offense has been playing in the second half.
Nonetheless, ends up being a first and goal for the legend. Reno gonna swing it out. DeQueen dives, end zone, touchdown for the legend.
Yeah, and that just caps off a drive that they, again, moved down with their own dictated pace and made sure that they did it the Minnesota way. Move themselves down the field, run with your heart, run with Isaac Knox, make sure you get your passes involved too. See the Eiffel Tower of France, get yourself every option open, cap it off with a T to Queen touchdown. Minnesota up 16.
And the legend have just taken over, probably I would argue with about a minute to go in the second quarter. We were wondering what exactly was going to go down, how was Minnesota going to respond, and they have responded with 20 straight points.
And that has been the major crux in Charleston. They had this bend but don't break mentality, but you can only bend for so long. You can only bend 474 yards of total offense for Minnesota until it finally breaks.
A deep kickoff there allows Davius Reed to take a knee in the end zone, brings it back out to the 20. The wild card round of season 22 kicks off another SFL postseason with doubleheaders Saturday and Sunday, April 20th and 21st, starting at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss any action in the SFL playoffs right here on SFL YouTube. Who will make an impact when it matters the most? Lakeman pitches it to Hoagland. Absolutely nowhere to go. And this run defense for Minnesota has been stout today.
Yeah, very, very stout, which has resulted in just 33 yards of total running offense from Charleston. I talked about the 30 number before. It hasn't gotten much better since. So big kudos to Minnesota for neutralizing Charleston's run game.
Lakeman to throw. Over the middle, interception! Going back the other way is Stephen Black, and we talked about him being stone hands earlier. I think he might have heard the broadcast and finally secured one for himself.
Yeah, I think he decided to use the chisel and make sure that he had, at least a form so that he can grip that football, and it finally worked out for him, Stephen Black getting the interception, and that almost feels like a big nail in the coffin for Charleston and their playoff hopes this season, as, again, fantastic field position for Minnesota, and they've been doing what they have wanted in the second half.
And we talked about this Charleston team trying to make Minnesota one-dimensional by taking the run game out of things, and instead Minnesota has done the same to Charleston, forcing Lakeman to throw the football, and that's now 2 interceptions for him this evening, as Reno is going to throw a little sidearm toss over the middle. Catch is made by DeQueen for a short gain of 4.
Yeah, and again, it's really about Minnesota's pace. They can slow things down. They're up big at this point. They've got momentum. They're at home. They can just drag this baby until we hit triple zeros, and they can do whatever they want.
Handoff up the middle goes Williams, the fullback, and he'll get a short gain of about 1 as Domingo makes the stop here. Again, with a win, Minnesota will get the 3 seed, and they will get a first-round bye through the wild card round.
Yeah, that's a big thing here. That's all Minnesota needs to do, because they are a division winner. They have advantage over Fort Worth and DC.
Catch again made by DeQueen. Another first down and a first and goal, as Minnesota is just cruising at this point.
Yeah, they started with the one-dimensional passing game, really getting it just to Jason France, but now they really start to share this wealth. Like we said, Jay Taylor's having a great game. T. DeQueen quietly getting herself her 6th reception of the game. Now her 7th for 87 yards. A great secondary option this game for Minnesota.
Reno, first and goal, shuffling, looking. He's going to take off and gets buried near the 5-yard line. Gets right back up, though. And Forrest Dalton is actually injured on the play. Add insult to injury for Charleston, as their starting defensive tackle is down and hurt.
And I think he was part of that little scuffle in the line, trying to jockey for position to try to get to Reno, which resulted in Reno kind of pushing himself out of the pocket and rush the ball himself. And now they're going to be down a man. They're going to have to trust in another defensive tackle to come in, see if he can make the same effect.
Second and goal from just outside the 5. Handoff goes to Colin Hart, and a good tackle there by the Predators as they stop them at about the 5-yard line. That was Jack Brown with the stop.
Yeah, and if Charleston has any hope, they need to stop them on this one. Maybe if this is a passing play, force Reno in an interception. This definitely looks like a pass play, so those DBs need to be ready.
Powell goes in motion. Reno, pressure covers backside, and he's going to go down. Impressive rush there from Geno McFly, the outside linebacker, and no one had a hat on him.
Yeah, nobody. It looked like the left tackle was covered by someone else trying to help things out, but McFly just bursted through, kind of like what Jason Clay did in the first half to John Lakeman, just breezing by on the snap, but boom.
And so Mickey Malillo will set up a chippy from about 24 yards. And he will boot it through to make it a 40-20 game. 6:35 to go here in the ball game. And it certainly feels like Minnesota is going to lock up that 3 seed.
Man, what an advantage those top 4 teams have by getting a bye week and essentially having 2 weeks to study their future quarterfinal opponent.
Still time with 6:35 to go here. Charleston has an opportunity to, spark a comeback as Davius Reed takes a knee in the end zone, but it's certainly looking like if we had the Rick meter with us, it would be heavy in Minnesota's area right now.
Yeah, almost breaking it to the point where that little dial marker is, not even in the vicinity of any area anymore. It's so much on Minnesota's side.
So we'll see how Charleston responds here. Down by 20, 6:33 to go. Lakeman 11 of 22, 162 yards, a touchdown and 2 picks. And he'll hand it off to Hoagland. Best run of the game for him so far as he gets first down yardage out across the 30 near the 35.
And just to think, beforehand, his longest run was 6. He doubled it on this run here, and a lot of it came to blocking as well. So if you look at the replay, it was good blocking, especially from Benjamin Warner, who came in with that last effort sliding tackle, which helped out. And Hoagland, like the strong boy he is, he still has Stephen Black all over him, but he manages to still get a couple extra yards.
So first down from the 35. Lakeman to throw. Fires, and it's picked off.
Oh,
Going back the other way is Minnesota, and he has no one in front of him. Touchdown for the legend, and
Dagger.
that will do it. Nicholas Frossel with the pick.
Man, it's got to be disappointing as a fan, as a player, as a supporter for Charleston to see themselves grind themselves all the way back to get into a playoff situation, and then the defense on the following last 2 weeks of the season allow 45-plus points in each week. And I think teams are starting to figure out how Charleston rolls things on both sides, and that's kind of what's resulted in things in Minnesota. It kind of breeze easy to that number 3 seed.
And that was just a bang-bang play, too. There was absolutely nothing you could do as Reed lost the football on the hit, and Frossel was just right there to pick it off of that. So it just absolutely nothing that you could do as Charleston now down by 27 points with under 6 to go.
Yeah, it went from competitive to ugly real fast.
Tomorrow, the Pacific Division and wildcard berths are on the line starting at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Vancouver claims the Pacific with a win. Seattle needs a win and a Legion loss for the division title. And both, plus Mexico City, are in the playoffs with a win. It all comes down to this. SFL football this weekend right here on SFL YouTube. Lakeman back to work, throws, catches made. Benjamin Warner first down out to about the 40-yard line.
Yeah, and Charleston still needs to keep fighting, no matter the circumstance, no matter what is going to, what the end score is going to be. You got to play for pride. It doesn't matter if your chances are, next to none at this stage. You've got to fight, and I like to see the fight from Charleston on this drive.
Four wide for Lakeman. He will throw into triple coverage, incomplete. And we will send it over to SFL HQ for a game break. Commissioner Cameron Irvine. Cam. Thank you, Cam. And the final week of the regular season, always with juicy tidbits, scenarios, things of that nature. So you certainly want to stay tuned and stay up late at night with us to go ahead and watch that playoff scenario show live on SFL YouTube at 11:45 p.m. Eastern as we get a penalty there against Minnesota that will go ahead and give a first down for Charleston.
Yeah, not only just the scenario show, but the following 2 games afterwards, we got a huge matchup between Fort Worth and Baltimore, and then you've got Indianapolis and San Diego with the Mavericks hoping to stay alive themselves in the playoff race with a victory at home.
Plenty more dominoes to fall here. We are certainly not done in Week 14 of the Simulation Football League, as Lakeman has plenty of time. Good pocket. He throws. Ooh. Catch cannot be made as it falls to the turf. Incomplete. Davius Reed, the intended receiver.
Yeah, off the shoulder of Davius Reed. It was just right in the vicinity. He just couldn't turn his body enough before it hit his shoulder pad, I guess you could call it, and it falls haphazardly to the turf.
Lakeman on second down. Fires. Overshots that one. And that falls to the turf. Incomplete. Third down coming up.
Yeah, that looked to be very much a case of Lakeman hoping that his receiver was going to be a little bit more ahead. So he threw that a little bit more forward, and it just didn't work out. And it's not really worked out over the last 10 passes for John Lakeman.
Yeah, we saw that graphic a little bit earlier where he was looking to hit a little bit of a rough stretch there, but Hoagland is able to free off the screen, and he spins himself out of bounds after the tackle. That's going to be a first down there, right as we're starting to talk a little bit smack about John Lakeman.
Yeah, and he's just gonna says, you know what, I can do my work here. This is why Charleston trusts me as their QB1, and he kind of just gives a little bit of a dump pass to Hoagland, and Hoagland finding great space on the left side, trusting on the sidelines, pushes himself forward, gets Charleston into field goal range, so they could potentially get some points out of this.
That is only his second completion since he tied the football game up at 20 with the touchdown pass in the second quarter. That's unbelievable. Delayed handoff goes to Saren Storm, and Minnesota once again clamping down on the Charleston run game as they go no huddle. Lakeman will throw this time. Into coverage, incomplete. He had an open man. I don't know why he didn't go to Onus Adobe on that one.
And we haven't seen much of Adobe as well, and he's usually kind of that X-Factor guy when the going gets tough for Charleston, but he's only got one target to his name. It has been very much the Davius Reed and Benjamin Warner show, 23 targets amongst those two receivers.
So a 3rd and 9 now. Lakeman over towards the near sideline, incomplete this time. Looking for Ian Francis, who's had the opening kickoff return for the score, but couldn't reel that one in. Brings up 4th down.
Yeah, and Francis tried his best. It was overthrown a little bit, so he used a small frame to try to reach forward. Almost got to it, but it just doesn't work out. And yeah, Charleston going in a 4-down territory. I don't mind this aggressiveness at this stage.
No, have to at this point. Down 27 with 4:34 to go. Playoffs on the line. You got to go for it. Five wide, Lakeman under center. No back. Gonna throw short of the sticks, and it doesn't matter. Warner can't reel it in, and that's going to be a turnover on downs.
Yeah, just a little dump pass because that was really the only open option. Minnesota really had everything covered the rest of the way, trying to get it to Warner's way one more time. It doesn't fare out. Minnesota gets the ball back with 4.5 to go in this game.
Looked like they were trying to set up a little bit of a wide receiver screen on that one. Not to be, and Minnesota going to take over, firmly in command of this ball game. Hand off to Hart, trying to chew some clock, avoiding defenders and getting first down yardage to boot. What a run there by Colin Hart.
And something that we didn't point across yet after the last set of points for Minnesota, after that 47 points goes up for them, Minnesota covered the over-under by themselves, brought to you by Jack's Data.
Yeah, that's kind of a crazy stat line, right? One team covering the over for this game. And it's wild to think about that Lakeman has only had 2 completed passes since he tied the game at 20, and Minnesota has scored 27 unanswered points. Just absolutely unbelievable turnaround for the Legend.
Yeah, John Lakeman went from 11 to 19 to 13 to 31. He's been 2 of his last 12.
Handoff goes to the fullback Williams, who rumbles ahead for a gain of 8, keeping the clock going. And Minnesota cruising towards a bye here in the SFL playoffs.
And they're just going to move that ball in whichever way they see fit. If they want to push this ball forward, they're going to do it. If they want to just, to pass this ball, that's going to work as well. And I think there's something in that little mindset of Minnesota that they want to give Johnny Reno just 9 more yards, give himself a 400-yard game.
We'll see if they get to it here, but I don't know. I think they might be pretty content with running the ball and chewing some clock.
I mean, I would be too.
Hart with the carry, gets the first down, gets out to midfield as well. And again, tackled inbounds. That will keep the clock going underneath 3 minutes to go.
And it's just Minnesota kind of cruising their way, knowing that the game is pretty much settled at this point. And now it's Colin Hart. See if he can get himself to the century mark. He's now at 93 yards on 15 carries. He's definitely been an X factor for Minnesota, especially through that second half.
And certainly nothing to really shake a stick at for Charleston. They played a great game. They've had a great season. They did a great job clawing themselves back into the playoff race after winning or losing their opening 4 games, then winning their next 4 to get them back into playoff contention. And then just a little off and on action the past few games puts them in this situation. And I think this game basically sums up how their season went, I would say.
Yeah, it's just, they clawed their way into a tough fight against Minnesota, but ultimately that bend but don't break mentality that they had this week, just it finally broke because Minnesota just found their way and really just dominated things. 320 yards in the first quarter. They're now at 202 in the second quarter. Over 500 yards of offense for Minnesota.
And we have hit the 2-minute warning here in St. Paul, Minnesota, with a commanding lead, looking to close things out. You're watching the Simulation Football League, presented by APM Music. We are live on YouTube. Eric Vincent and Brett Solberg here with you in the broadcast booth. Jacob Clear and Declan O'Rourke have done a great job for us in the stats truck this evening. Minnesota 2 minutes away from securing the 3 seed and a bye in the SFL playoffs. And Charleston, unfortunately, will be eliminated from playoff contention with a loss. Handoff goes to Hart, still running hard as he gets maybe a yard on the play. Charleston will call a timeout, 2 remaining. Another carry here by Hart. He'll get the first down, and that will pretty much do it. As Charleston will burn their second timeout, they will have 1 remaining, and no chance to stop the clock after that.
Yeah, just complete dominance. I'm just looking down the stats here. Minnesota had well favored in terms of time of possession as well as total plays. They're gonna earmark for their 78th play of the game, whereas Charleston's only had 57 snaps of the ball. It's second half dominance. It's really been for Minnesota.
Hart again with another carry and again running hard. He has run hard all game long as Charleston burns their last time out. The crowd here in St. Paul celebrating their legend, getting that 3 seed, getting that bye in the SFL playoffs, and hats off to him.
Yeah, and Colin Hart gets himself over the century mark as well, kind of putting a late marker into the rushing leaderboard as he was part of that as well. He's going to get himself around that 850 mark, if I'm not, or close to the 900 mark, if he continues rolling into this game here.
And another run there by Hart. and that'll keep the clock going, and that will definitely do it. Uh, Man, what a game by Johnny Reno, though. I mean, close to 400 yards passing, and he's done it efficiently. He read the defense about as well as you possibly can, went to France as often as he could. You know, one blemish on the stat sheet, the lone pick, but otherwise, I would say a pretty flawless game there by Johnny Reno.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why we look at him as one of the not the safest quarterbacks, but one of the most efficient out there. 27 to 39, 391. He's got the 2 touchdowns. His QBR was at 108 tonight. He did really efficient work, and that's what you need out of your quarterback going into the playoffs. So this is a good game for Johnny Reno. This is a good confidence marker. This is a good place marker for what Minnesota is capable of heading into this playoffs as a 3 seed.
And speaking of playoffs, we've got more games coming around the corner here with playoff implications in the 9 o'clock Eastern time hour. You certainly don't want to miss it. Fort Worth taking on Baltimore in Baltimore. That'll be a fun one. Indianapolis and San Diego facing off on the West Coast. And all 4 of those teams have something to play for, so that'll certainly be a nice block of games to round out our Saturday night.
Oh, absolutely. And you guys will, hear my voice one more time here tonight. I'll be flying over to Baltimore and see if I can get that quick teleportation powers to work so that I can call the Fort Worth Baltimore game with my partner, my other partner, Jacob Clear. And that's going to be a fun one, absolutely.
They're just going to pop you off in the SFL private jet. It's a short flight over to Baltimore. They'll park you right at the stadium, man. No worries. 47-20, the final score. Minnesota locking up the 3 seed and eliminating Charleston from playoff contention. As we get a final look at the game stats for tonight, and just second half dominance by Minnesota. Otherwise, I'd say it was a very tight-knit game. Much of the way in the first half. Thought we were probably going to see more in the second, and Minnesota just poured it on.
Well, yeah, we have to remember at halftime it was 23-20, and we just saw the most exciting 1 minute of football in our SFL lives with 17 points back to back between these 2 teams. And you think that Charleston would maybe come back in this second half and maybe get some type of duplicate of what they were capable of in that second quarter, but it just did not happen. Minnesota made Charleston struggle. Just 62 yards of total offense in the second half for Charleston, and it really sealed things because Minnesota could do anything that they wanted offensively, continue to, move the marker as much as they could, which resulted in 548 total yards, just pure second half dominance from Minnesota, and that's how you get a 3 seed.
Player of the game for you, my friend?
Let's give it to Johnny Reno. He looked too good out there.
I second that. Well, on behalf of Brett Solberg, my name is Eric Vincent. Want to thank our statisticians, Jacob Clear and Declan O'Rourke tonight, SFL Commissioner Cameron Irvine producing tonight's game, and we'll see you in the 9 o'clock Eastern hour.
Bidoo.